Coming up on this edition of Cogeco News, the first COVID-19 related fatality in the area governed by the health unit, police investigating a hit and run, and yes, swing away, 4. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this Friday edition of Cogeco News. I am Greg Estabrook. Sadly, indeed, the North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit reports the first death related to COVID-19 in the health unit's coverage district. The individual in question was a woman in her 50s who passed away in the last 24 hours. The health unit is working collaboratively with the hospitals involved and community stakeholders on contact tracing activities to identify and follow up with close contacts. Community transmission cited as the cause. Out of respect for the family, the health unit said on Friday no further information is being shared. Moving on to the COVID board for May 15th, Friday, May 15th. The numbers are as follows: 311 tested, 1 new case, 21 in all, 15 in North Bay area, and 6 in the Parry Sound or Muskoka area. 18 are resolved, and again, 1 death, 2 in self-isolation, so 21 cases in all. The Ontario government is dubbing it Stage 1. What it means is a partial loosening of some of the many restrictions put on life in general in the province. Nipissing MPP and Minister of Economic Development and Trade, Vic Fedeli, talks about what's ahead in the immediate future.
Last week, we sent a very clear signal out to the golf and marina. Get your places ready for business. We opened curbside retail, get your place ready. We issued 95 sector-by-sector Ministry of Labour guidelines. So no matter what business you're in, you go on ontario.ca/COVID-19 and you see the sector-by-sector guidelines. Here's what you need. So for instance, across the street, any of the stores on Main Street, it's 6 foot, 2 meter social distancing is required. You need 4 square meters per person, which is about 43 square feet per person, so they can understand, based on the square footage of their shop, how many people can be in at any given time. So they need to do that work. They need to make sure that they practice the social distancing, the sanitizing of the workplace for their employees, for the safety of their customers as well. All that needs to be followed because 14.5 million people in Ontario, we gave up a lot for 9 or 10 weeks. We don't want to have any of this roll back. We lost 1.1 million workers in the province of Ontario, which means we need to get them back to work, but we can only do it in a slow, gradual, and safe way. Now, different than Quebec, we did not shut down manufacturing or supply chain or the mining sector in Ontario. The auto sector chose to shut down on their own, and I can tell you I've spoken with every president of the big 5 auto companies. I've spoken with all of their personnel. They've been working for weeks to make sure they can open safely, and they've made the decision that they're going to open. Some are opening now, some are opening on the 18th, but they've worked together with the labor unions to come up with the workplace safety plan, and we're going to see 100,000 people go back to work by the 18th. Stage 2 will come when the Chief Medical Officer of Health signals that the numbers continue to fall for another 14 days. So everything will be done in these 2-week increments. So it is going to be a while. I can tell you in our office, one of the number one issues was when can I get my dog into the groomers. So pet grooming is allowed as of Tuesday morning, Monday at midnight actually, so book your appointments now. And curbside will end downtown and stores will be open, allowed to be open.
The federal government plans on continuing financial supports for Canadians and Canadian business and business owners for a few more months right through the summer. Joining us right now via Skype on his birthday, no less, is Nipissing-Temiskaming MP Anthony Rota.
There's been an extension on the wage subsidy. It was only supposed to go till the end of June. Now it's been extended to the end of August because, we're seeing things not going quite as quickly as we want. And the other thing that's going on is for smaller companies who are having a hard time. Through FedNor, the federal government has put another $50 million, $49.5 million out there. So if they go to their regional economic development agencies here in the North Bay area, it's NECO, and they might be able to work out some financing there and some help. It's helped out a lot of small businesses, really small mom and pop operations stay in business. The other thing they've done is on bigger corporations, the ones who employ a lot of people and do contribute quite a bit to our economy. There's some money going to them as well if they can prove that they need it. The nice thing about that one is it's not just being handed out. It is a loan, and consider it bridge financing, getting from this period where it's very slim pickings to later on when the economy starts picking up again.
I wanted to ask about trying to govern a country in a now suddenly virtual age. Can government function properly given the ramifications of a lockdown?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because, I mean, being the Speaker of the House, that has come under my purview. The government House leaders, the House leaders of the government and opposition side wrote me a letter about 2 months ago, or a month and a half ago, asking me to come up with a solution. So what we have done is we've put our staff in place. We have actually gone through a dry run of a virtual parliament, and it seems to work okay. It does not replace being there live in person, but I think we're moving towards it. And a lot of the stuff we've developed over the last couple of months, I think we're probably going to bring into the operations of government going into the future. And it's going to be interesting to see what's acceptable, what is not. But, to be honest, I would rather have everyone in person in one room going back and forth because it just makes it that much more lively. But the virtual is actually working fairly well. And one of the things we've done as well is done a hybrid where we've got some in the chamber and some away from the chamber, so where they could be anywhere in Canada. And that we went through a dry run on that, like a test run this week, and it worked out fairly well. So I'm looking forward to see how this all plays out in the long run.
Finally, this most important note, for the next 8 months, you're a year older than I am, which I will savor. Happy birthday, and do you feel any older today, Anthony?
You know what? Just by those numbers, I feel older. Otherwise, I feel just as old as I ever did.
Meanwhile, police in North Bay are looking for a suspect after an apparent hit and run in downtown North Bay early Friday morning. The victim suffered non-life-threatening injuries. The description, though, of the driver and his car are only partial.
At 1:10 a.m. this morning, on the 15th of May, our officers responded to a call of a motor vehicle collision that occurred on the corner of McIntyre Street and Wild Street. An individual had stopped there, was waiting for the light to turn green. He was a pedestrian. As he was crossing the street, a vehicle turned left and struck him. He received injuries, contacted the police. We arrived at the scene. The individual who was driving the car stopped, mumbled at utterance towards the individual, but then backed up and left westbound on McIntyre Street East. At this point, we're looking for a male subject between the late 40s, early 50s. He has gray hair. He spoke English. The car itself is a mid-size vehicle, darker in color. Leaving the scene, of course, it becomes, if not a provincial violation, certainly a criminal violation for failing to remain at the scene of an accident. And when these occur, we reach out to the public, and it's extremely important that we find these individuals for a number of reasons. They may be in violation of other crimes, or they may have just left because of nervousness or this is an obligation you have as a driver, and certainly we need any member of the public that witnesses that. It's very important that they come forward and share any information with the police.
Couple of other police matters to discuss. First of all, they are still looking for the suspect in the armed robbery from a couple of nights ago, and the farmers market reopens on Saturday. A changed one at that, given the current situation. Besides the changes because of the pandemic, there will be a police presence at the event, although ideally They say it's for one of awareness, not necessarily enforcement and ticketing.
Opening this Saturday, and that's a sign that things are starting to open up again, but there are conditions on it. So, and the market, they're the people that have put those conditions out. They're asking you to call ahead if you know to do curbside pickup, but they're asking that, you know, only one person from a family go into the market, and we'll be there encouraging people to social distance. We'll have a North Bay booth. We'll talk if you want to talk COVID-19, I'll be there. If you want to talk about knowing your neighbor or other crime prevention ideas, as per Police Week, we'll be there as well. There'll also be a couple other special constables there doing foot patrol, just talking to people and making sure that we're all abiding by the conditions that we should be to get through this pandemic.
Now, with one notable exception, city police have not ticketed anyone for social distancing issues or disobeying an order about being in a public place. How strict will they be at the farmers market on Saturday?
Generally, it's warnings. That's right. It's a big education piece, and we have given out a large number of warnings, as many other police services have. We're trying to stick to the education thing, and for the most part, people are complying with that.
Nipissing University has announced the fall term classes will be delivered primarily online. This decision, the school says, ensures that students will be able to successfully meet their program requirements while maintaining, they say, the highest possible safety standards. Making this decision will allow the students, faculty, and staff time to prepare. Now, Nipissing officials also add, as more information becomes available from the government and public health authorities, the university will provide further updates to students regarding residence life, placement, athletics, and on-campus services and supports on a weekly basis. It could be a big blow to the city's economy if that holds true in 2020, 2021. When we come back, we go back to North Bay Police headquarters for a police salute of sorts, and much more after this. Welcome back. As promised, we return to police headquarters on Princess. A musical salute to some North Bay Police Service officers on Friday morning, well known for his work at Baysar Search and Rescue. Stan French also styling on the trombone this day. Stan French and his trombone were at the police headquarters on Friday morning for a musical salute to the frontline troops.
The music that I played today, and I've also played in some street concerts, are there to recognize the time, some yearning for the past, some hope for the future, and to be able to say we're all in this together.
So you know what, it is a struggle for the entire platoon because it's shifted the way that we do policing. It's made some things more difficult, and times like these, when we get support from members of the community, it's just an uplifting moment that, you know, the guys and girls can take a deep breath and reflect on what's going on and the support that we do have in the community.
And a stressful occupation gets even more stressful in the time of COVID-19.
It's changed the way that we do things. So it's, you know, it's a learning curve, and it has added an element of stress that our officers are handling it fairly well.
And while this was a bit of an emotional lifesaver for the police during these difficult times, French, who is involved in search and rescue, has a different kind of life-saving project in mind.
ESAR has been spearheading the effort to bring Project Lifesaver to North Bay and area, and North Bay Police has been doing a fabulous job to work with us to try to make that happen. We've progressed quite far along. Chief Todd has signed a letter of intent so that we are very close to sending that in to Project Lifesaver.
The booming TV and movie production industry in North Bay and area ground to a halt in mid-March. Many productions were either shut down or delayed, and that is depriving this community of a lot of money. Leanne Kovakoski is still working, but awaits a return to the former normal workload for her and dozens, if not hundreds, of others. The movie and TV production business has been a huge part of Leanne Kovakoski's life for a long time. Things were going great until a couple of months ago. Now they've gone from full throttle to park. But she said it's not all bad right now.
Well, it is very much so on the production side and, of course, on the post-production side, because if they're not shooting, I'm not processing anything. However, Post-Production North has moved into another category for descriptive video. And descriptive video is for individuals that have visual issues. So it gives a description of what's happening in between dialogue. And I just opened this portion of my company during the pandemic, so we've been running for now 3 months.
When it comes to producing TV shows, series, and of course feature films, planning is key. Right now you can't plan for anything because you do not know what's going to happen next.
We don't know where this is going, right? So in terms of like when production will be able to start up again, my history has been within production management and coordination. I help the city often when producers come in and they want to know where they can shoot, who they can hire, like what's available here within the North. So everybody's feeling a great deal of desperation in what's going to happen next, and not understanding how these productions are going to be pulled together. So, for example, you know, you have 60 to 80 people that are working on a set per day. How are they going to be able to come in, do their job, then go home without any concern? So until we have a vaccine, or until I've heard some people are talking about quarantining the actual crew and cast, so that while they're shooting, they're spending, like, it could be a 3 or 4 month process. They're going to spend 3 or 4 months together. This hasn't come into light, but I think it might be a possibility.
So far in 2020, about 5 productions have been shut down, and who knows when they're going to restart.
Well, each production, I mean, even if it's a small production, their budget could be anywhere from, you know, under $1 million to $5 million. It did, you know, I don't know, and that feeds back into the city because all of the support services that are available. So you're looking for catering, you're looking for craft, you're looking for building supplies, you're looking for rentals. It's a lot.
To Muskoka now for our next story. Struggling horse farm Rushmount Equine Sports in Severn is one of the businesses, there's been many, hit hard by COVID-19 and has fallen through the cracks in terms of bailout funding being provided by the government. Your TV speaks with owner Heidi Mueller about the lengths she's taking to keep this horse farm from going under.
Right now, it's the help from the community that's keeping everything going. So we are trying to be creative and try to figure out ways. We are trying to refinance, using equity in our home to refinance and make things easier that way. hoping that next year will be normal, you know, maybe. Maybe it'll be normal in 6 months, I don't know. I mean, nobody knows with this second wave that they're talking about if that's going to happen or not happen. So a lot of facilities like myself have a lot of schooling horses, and the schooling horses are in their keep by doing lessons and camps. And without that, they're still eating, they're still needing their stalls cleaned, and they're needing hay put out and water put out, and all of that, you know, costs money. And so we're all in that predicament where we don't have any revenue streams coming in, and all of us feed off of each other. You know, the other schooling barns come to ours and train to go to the bigger horse shows, and none of that is happening right now. Particularly here, we did have a horse show in March right before all this happened, the first weekend in March, and then we were shut down on the 16th. So our horse show in April, our horse show in May, our horse show in June, as well as our May and our June Trillium shows. Trillium's the next step up from schooling, and you know, last year I think we had 170 horses on site. So it was a lot of participation from the Georgian Bay Trillium Zone. And we normally have a team with pony jumpers that go out to the A circuit shows and qualify for the Royal and the CSHA classes. So we have some horses that do the Cup classes. And I don't see that any of that stuff's going to happen this year. And I mean, the government has a few programs out there, but it doesn't really work for us. The CERB does work for some businesses that are incorporated, and we are looking for some sort of program to come down the chute. And we're still at a standstill. We still don't know where we can fall in. So, you know, I was asked in past, how am I going to make this work? And we've talked about, you know, selling some of our horses, but then you have to buy them. You have to buy something to replace that once we start back into work. And it's not easy to find a school horse that can take a joke. They are hard to come by. They're amazing animals that teach the young and nervous, you know, maybe not necessarily young, but older, nervous people, or people that have had, you know, a bad experience on a horse, to come back and get that confidence. They're hard to find. So when you have one that's amazing, you don't want to sell it. And you know, they're part of the family.
Break time has arrived again on Cogeco News. When we come back, we'll fire up the weather forecast after this.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Welcome back. Temperatures warming up, and if you want to stay warm by a fire, the fire ban will be lifted once the clock strikes midnight in the city of North Bay on this Friday, just in time for the long weekend. That was announced by the fire department earlier today. Now to the forecast. Overnight tonight, it is going to be partly cloudy, a high of 4 for the opening of the farmers market and golf season. Partly cloudy and 17. Sunday, it's going to be Mainly cloudy and 14. Holiday Monday 17. Cold at night 7, 8, and 2. And on Tuesday sunny. High of 16, low of 7. Moving on to the almanac, we can tell you that the high was allegedly 14 on Thursday, low -3. Normals are 18 and 6. When we come back, golf season, right after this.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey, some sports of sorts to talk about. Golf courses will be open on Saturday with social distancing protocols in place. Pine will have all 18 holes open on Saturday morning, driving range to open on Tuesday. Osprey Links and Calendar only offering 9 holes of play on the back 9. Meanwhile, North Bay Golf and Country Club will also be open on the weekend. Tee time booking is busy, they say, and only the 9,000 line is accepting tee times, but I bet you there'll be lots of golfers out there. And our Clark Heipel says he's going golfing tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Give him a big hello, especially on his backswing. Have a great and safe weekend. We'll see you again right here in Cogeco News on Tuesday.